Talking about trending topics, sports, or whatever pops in their simple minds. You are listening to Rosales Podcast with Adam Gonzalez and Zach Brown.
Let's switch gears here. Let's get into some.
Yes, sir.
We got Easter tomorrow, and me and my wife, we were watching Passion of the Christ last night.
Nice.
And Mel Gibson, the director of it, he throws in like flashbacks of Jesus, like they showed him, as a carpenter. Jesus was a carpenter. Right. They showed him just like doing normal, human things, I guess you could say. The human side of Jesus,
Right.
Which, when we read the Bible or there's this idea of Jesus as this like all perfect, person. But at the end of the day, he still did things we do, humans do, because he was human,
Right, 100% human.
100% human, 100% God, right?
Yeah.
So then that had me thinking, like, obviously the Bible's not going to record like his normal day in the life of Jesus outside of his miracles and all the stuff that we can read in the Bible. But if you think about it, excuse me. So I think his mission, you could say, the gospel part of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Those recordings were only like he only did his mission for like 3 years, right? And then he was crucified, something like that. Yeah? He was crucified at like 26 or 28. Don't fact. I'm not an expert.
No, you're fine.
Something on that. I'm just spitballing it.
I'm
but
not sure, to be honest. Quite honest, I know he's in his late 20s, early 30s. I think it was 32. I don't know.
32. Oh yeah, like early 30s maybe.
I don't. Yeah.
Anyway, so what I always find fascinating is thinking about Jesus as, like, if you're a disciple, right? Like, what's a normal conversation that you have with Jesus gonna be like? That's not recorded in the Bible. What do you think? Like, if Paul or Peter, they're on the boat fishing with Jesus, what are the conversations that lead up to those moments? Or like, who was walking on water? Peter?
Yeah, well,
the doubter or something. Anyway, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of conversations would they have with Jesus?
Right.
Or what was he like as a teenager?
Right.
So like, or did he ever have a crush on somebody? Did he have those? I mean, he felt human things, anger, fear. In the garden when he was praying before crucifixion. So he obviously feels love.
Right.
But did he ever get to that point, do you think, of love, like with, that affection toward, like, that you get when you start dating, or, like that crush kind of feel? What do you think?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, to be honest. But we could start off with Jesus as being a human being. I think Jesus was obviously is God. So when he created all things, time, space, matter, everything that we see here that exists today, I think that Jesus, when he came to earth, he knew when he made human beings, Adam and Eve, that they were going to sin, right? And I believe that Jesus knew that he eventually had to be that eventual the last like sacrifice, to atone our sins and to make us perfect in God's eyes. So when Jesus was born, I think that a lot of his recordings just wasn't really valid. I don't want to say valid, but it really didn't really mean like as much. Because the sole purpose of the Bible is salvation, right? Yeah. So about him being a teenager really doesn't bring somebody to salvation. So it's all about the New Testament. It's about his missionary and what he did, people.
Right.
So I believe that he had feelings in a sense of attraction to somebody? I don't think he did at all. I think he knew when he was born he was God, and so I think that he knew the bigger picture and things, and I think that was people's souls, not dating somebody.
You don't think he ever wanted to, like, obviously he was around people that had kids. You don't think he ever wished he had, a wife and kids?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a family. I mean, obviously, he's bigger than that. But on the level of having human traits.
Mhm.
Because if God created obviously everything, right? He created that he created attraction. He created
Right.
emotions that
Right.
we go through. So then Jesus himself had to have had some type of
Well,
like
no, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's true. I don't think he had to have feelings. But again, we're trying to compare God to
he had
us.
to have his own thoughts, right?
But we're trying to compare God to human beings. Like as far as like we're created because of God, right? But we didn't create God. God is always existed.
Right.
So he had his own thoughts, his own mind. So when we try to compare God to human beings, then there's some conflict there because it's not.
No, I know.
There's not.
I know, and I'm not saying that God. I mean, God sent His Son Jesus to Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of that was Him relating to His creation.
Mm-hmm.
So He understands when He became flesh, human.
Right.
He understands. He can relate because in the Bible, I forget what verse it says, but He knows. He relates to the struggle of being a human. So sin and all that. If you can't, so if he was able to relate on that level, he surely had the ability to relate to all forms of human emotion and feeling, right?
Right.
I mean, he was even tempted by the devil. Mm. So, he always made the right choice. He was always making the right choice. So I think he always got close to that line where we choose either what's right and what's wrong. Obviously, he lived a perfect life. He always chose what was right. Meaning, he had to have had problems or decisions to choose between the two. Life probably wasn't all roses for him.
No, I mean, absolutely. Life. I mean, Jesus obviously did suffer persecution, did suffer obviously pain physically. I mean, he felt human things. But again, I don't think it's in the Bible where anywhere in the Bible where it's recorded that he was attracted to a woman. I don't think it was feasible. I don't think it was even
right. I mean, what's that good?
There's no point.
Right.
I don't think he was, to be honest. I think he had obviously a bigger mission, and that's to save people from hell. I think that was his main purpose.
Yeah, I get it.
So I don't think he had time. Honestly, I don't think he's like, I'm not worried about that. I'm God. Like I don't need to. I'm focused on people's souls.
Sure.
So yeah, as far as that, I don't think he did. I mean, like I said, if somebody can show me a verse in the Bible where he did, then I would believe it. But until then, I don't believe it. So, yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's a crazy thought because that's 30 years of life that we only get a glimpse of what Jesus was like.
Right.
And,
it's even recorded in Matthew. I think it was towards the end where it says basically like. If we were to record exactly everything that Jesus did, we wouldn't have time. I mean, there's so much that he did, and but we record certain things because the main purpose of the Bible, right, which is salvation, and there's certain events that happen where, the woman at the well or something, where it actually meant something.
Okay, so here's the thing too. Then, out of all the recordings of his miracles in the Bible, do you think there's more miracles that were not recorded that he performed?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean,
right.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't know, and I'm not going to go beyond what I don't know. But
yeah,
I'm just
to speculate.
I'm just speculating exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just,
but. Who knows? I mean, probably. I mean, I don't see why not. But I can't definitely say yes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. But
I mean, I think the miracles that were supposed to count for something are obviously in the Bible for a
So
reason.
another question would be like, do you believe that miracles still exist?
Ooh. Well, absolutely. I think you gotta look for them, obviously. But yeah, I mean, miracles for sure exist. I mean, it's just a miracle every day that you drive your vehicle and you make it from point A to point B. Everything is so in line. You know what I mean? Like, When's the last miracle you've seen?
No, I mean, I absolutely believe that miracles do exist. But again, I mean, obviously in today's society, it doesn't matter. The facts doesn't matter anymore, right? It doesn't matter. There's no absolute truth, which I believe there is. But in today's world, it's like, no, there's not. Like, wrong is not wrong, and right is not right. Now it's totally flipped, right? Wrong is right, and right is wrong. So yeah, I mean, I think that miracles still do exist. You know, I personally haven't experienced one, but I've seen obviously my stepdad. You know, he had leukemia, and the doctor told him, hey, you're gonna die.
Right.
You're gonna die in 3 months. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. And those 3 months came, and 14, 15, 16, whatever it is, years later, he's here today. So, in that self, I do believe miracles do exist. But do I believe like the Jesus like back in the day where he was healing limbs and you know what I mean, or healing people that were
sick,
physically disabled? I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend like I know. You know, I don't know, but can it happen? I believe it could.
Yeah.
Do I know? No.
And that's excuse me. I forget who I had this conversation with, but we were talking about like if Jesus was to come now, and there would be this prophet performing these miracles, like raising people from the dead. And would people believe it? I mean, I think it would catch. Obviously, news of this would spread all over the world just like that, the way technology is. But I mean, word caught on quicker than fire when Jesus rose Lazarus from the dead. But with all the speculation of like if someone was to film that on their phone, him raising from someone from the dead, don't you think there'd be more people speculating like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
I think it had been his timing, right? Like,
yeah, it was perfect timing. Yeah, I mean, it's always God's timing is always perfect. But yeah, I mean, I you know what the thing is, I don't even if obviously Jesus was walking the earth today. The thing was that in the book of Isaiah, I mean, there's things that prophesied about Jesus coming,
right?
You know, and so we can see that in the Old Testament,
right?
And so we know, hey, this guy is going to be coming. The Messiah is going to be coming.
Right.
This is what he's going to look like, not physically, but as far as like his walk, you know, the things he's going to do. He's going to die on the cross, and he's going to be wounded for our transgressions. Mm-hmm. So things like that we see in the Bible.
Right.
So if it were to say like, you know, hey, this guy Jesus is going to be walking, you know, the earth and do these kinds of miracles in the Bible, and we would see that today, then of course we can be like connected to. But if it doesn't say it, then obviously we can't believe it, right?
Right.
But you know, I truly believe that people choose not to believe in God, even if they believe God, but they just don't choose to believe it sometimes because they don't want to in a sense. Because I feel like if Jesus would come to like physically come to earth, what? It's my phone.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought I was hearing
anyways, something. No, but I do believe even if God was just open up the heavens and show His face, I still think people would still doubt.
Oh,
I mean, I just think that's just the reality, and so.
Well, yeah. So him returning.
Yeah.
Who was I saying that? Were we talking about? Yeah, we were talking about it.
Probably,
about the aliens. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah,
last weekend, how you were saying that it's gonna cause everyone to believe it's some supernatural.
Right.
For the rapture, you know, when you know Christ takes his the church.
Yeah.
People are gonna believe aliens did it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when the Antichrist comes into play, right?
So exactly. So the rapture, right? So obviously we believe in the rapture. We believe in the pre-trib. We believe it's going to happen before the 7-year tribulation. The thing is, it's like how can you explain to the world millions of people disappearing on Earth? Like how can you explain that to people, right?
You gotta say.
So I mean, people are more easy to believe in aliens than they do believe in God, in a sense. So obviously, it's always about like these. There's a lot of people that are about aliens and aliens and aliens. Mm-hmm. And so if we can keep sending out quote unquote evidence of aliens, which obviously a lot of them are photoshopped, a lot of them aren't really true.
Right.
If we can give that out to the world, because the thing is, the world's obviously trying to push to a new world order.
Yeah.
Right. They're trying to push into this one religion. But the thing is, the reality is, Muslim people are not going to get along with Jewish people.
Right.
Right. It's just constantly going to be a constant conflict.
Yeah.
So how can you have these people come together? Well, an invasion of some kind, right? An invasion of it's not part of this earth, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if millions of people disappear on Earth and you say, hey, it's because of the aliens took them, then the world is going to be freaked out. And they're like, well, you know what? I don't care. We're human beings and we're fighting against aliens now. Let's come together. Right. So I was listening to someone on a podcast was saying something about that, and it was like really interesting to hear that. And I was like, yeah, that possibly could happen, and I could see that. So yeah, I mean, that would explain their view. Because I mean, how can you explain millions of Christians just disappearing? I mean, the reality is you can't. A lot of people are gonna be like, that's weird. Like Christians, like why not other religions? You know what I mean?
They're gonna have to stay calm and believe that it's aliens as a form of keeping them sane. You know, as crazy as it's gonna be, but they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, don't everyone relax. Like the government might say we've known about these aliens for a long time or whatever. Just I don't know. That's going to be an interesting turn of events. What
happens? Obviously, we don't know the day or the hour or when it's going to happen, but when it does happen, it's going to happen big, and it's going to be crazy. So, I don't know. And I also like, I got to say this because I hear people always talk about Jesus this, Jesus that, like as if he's a fake person or a person that's not real. I mean, he's a historical person. There's like almost every religion. The three main religions obviously talk about who Jesus is. Not all of them obviously believe that he's God or they believe he's a prophet or whatever it is. And he's not some magical man, who does all these magical things. No, he's God. Right? He's God. He made time, space, and matter so that we can live in it. So if someone creates something, they can live outside those bounds. Yeah. Right? So to him, walking on water to him isn't nothing.
No.
Calming the seas down isn't nothing to him. So when people say, "Oh, how can this magical?" No, he's not magical. He's God. Like he is God.
He created the elements in which we live in.
Exactly.
That tie us down, and that's that whole topic of time in itself.
Yeah, like the whole Trinity thing, right?
Yeah.
God created like time, space, and matter. And people are like, "Well, how do you believe in Trinity? Are you me or am I you?" No, I'm not you and you're not me. But the thing is, we're not God. And the thing is, there's Trinity all around us. We can see it, time, space, matter. Mm-hmm. Time can't live without space or matter, vice versa. Can't live without time and space. So the Trinity is very complex and it's very hard to understand, but
the Trinity is sense.
Right. I mean, if you look at time, you have past, present, future. That's a Trinity.
Right.
So there's Trinities all around us. We just don't, people just don't want to believe that God is 3 in 1. God is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, which the Bible is very clear about that they are. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, he is who he like. He when he says I am, like he is. He can't explain who he is because he's everything.
Exactly.
I am.
Yeah.
I am all.
When Moses was telling him, who do I tell who sent me, and tell him that I am.
That I am.
And then if you look, I think it was in the New Testament where Jesus says, basically, one of the Jews was like basically saying, I am.
Right.
Like he was saying, I am. So he's basically calling himself God.
Right.
Well, that's 3 in 1, right? Right. So, it's very, I don't know, it's...
Well, and that's, and that's why my idea of like, because if God's outside time, we're bound to time because the way it's designed as a human and the way the sun and everything, right? But outside of that, like after death, whatever, or even when God created the heavens and the earth, they say it was 3 days. Well, it's like, were they 3 earth days? But if he created just light and not,
what it was... You mean 7 days or 6 days?
7 days, sorry, 7 days.
6 days, rest on the 7th?
Yeah, rest on the 7th. So if God, so someone explained it to me like, the movie Interstellar.
Yeah.
Where you can jump in, you can see a timeline, and God can jump in and out of everything, right? So God chose to jump in at 2,000 years ago, right? But he lives outside of time, so all these people that have passed in the 2,000 years that are Christians or whatever, that are in heaven. I think, like I was saying, I think that they are like we, as believers, we're already there. Like
without being there, is that what you're trying to say?
In a sense, yeah, we're held to this. Like it's gonna be waking up from a dream, and so as soon as I die and enter heaven, let's let's say, you're going to be there as soon as I get there too.
I see
Because
what you're saying.
like I'm no longer part of this timeline, so I time jump in a sense. Like
So
I'm
you're
not
saying-
gonna just sit in heaven, and if you live another 10 years, I'm not just gonna be sitting in heaven waiting in 10 years. Like, you know what I mean? Or
No, I get what you're trying to say,
there's
yeah.
all these people in heaven that
So-
have been waited
So
2,000
you're trying
years.
to say that everyone
for
that's
the rapture.
died
Right.
has not gone to heaven yet, and they're all going to go to heaven at one time.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Like it's
Well-
gonna feel like all at once. Like
Right.
you know,
Well, this is where I would probably disagree with you. I would think that as soon as you take your last breath, you're in heaven.
right?
Again, I don't know.
But then you're saying that there's time in heaven. Then,
There's not time in heaven, but
but then you're waiting like, oh, here comes Adam. It's been 1,000 years.
you want to know
heaven
it's
time.
1,000. No, you would-
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like we're all gonna be there at once. The same time we see that Moses was taken is the same time.
You know, I'll have to get back to you because I think the Bible does talk about that.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I don't know. I know I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I'm not gonna pretend like I know. I don't. But
I mean, I'm not a scholar either, but I think that whole idea of time and
I mean, I understand because I mean, obviously, it makes sense, but I don't think so. I don't know. I have to get back to you on that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, gotta wrap this up.
yeah. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yes, sir.
We hope you got something out of it. Like I said, we're not.
We're not geniuses.
We're not
We don't
geniuses.
pretend to be geniuses. We're
Definitely.
just an average people living an average day, an average life.
Just like to talk about some talk about some stuff.
That's right.
All right. See you guys
All right.
next time.
Yes, sir.